So I'm cooking chicken pilau for dinner tonight, and I thought I'd do another quick video for you all just to show you how I cook my chicken pilau. So to start off with, I'm going to talk you through my ingredients. So here I've got 1/2 kilogram of chicken thigh meat, and I've cut that into small pieces. You can also use a chicken breast or a whole chicken cut into small pieces, but personally when I'm making chicken pilau I do prefer chicken thighs because I find the meat doesn't dry out as much. I've also got 2 large onions that I've thinly sliced. I've got 3 tomatoes that I've cut in half and I've decored through the middle. I've got 8 cloves of garlic that I've crushed with 1 inch of ginger that I've also crushed. I've also got here my pilau spice mix. So here I've got a teaspoon of Kashmiri chilli powder. I've also got 2 teaspoons of salt in there, and I've also got 1 teaspoon of coriander powder, which I've coarsely grinded in my spice blender. And here I've got 3 chicken cubes that I've crumbled by hand. And I've also got whole garam masala that I'm also going to be using. So I'll just quickly talk you through what I've got. I've got a stick of cinnamon. I've got 1/2 teaspoon of whole cloves, 3 black cardamom pods, 1/2 teaspoon of whole black pepper, and 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds. The other thing that I've also done is I've got my rice over here. I've used 2 large mugs of rice, and before you start cooking your pilau it's really important that you soak your rice in cold water, and I've also added a teaspoon of salt in there. So this step when you're making pilau is really important to getting the perfect pilau rice. So the first step to cooking your pilau is browning the onions. So I've taken a large deep pot which I've added about 1/4 cup of cooking oil to, and I'm going to fry the onions in the oil until they're a nice golden brown in colour. So this step is really important in cooking a nice pilau, so it takes a bit of time, so you've got to be patient. You don't want to burn the onions, they've got to be the right colour. So I'll come back and then show you once they start browning. Okay, so they've turned a really nice golden brown in colour now, so I'm quite happy with that. So to this, I'm now going to add in my whole garam masala, and keep the heat to low because you don't want these to burn, and you want to fry these for about 30 seconds or so, and just so you can release the flavours from the spices. And then once you've done that, you need to add in the garlic and ginger paste that you made earlier. So I'm just going to add that in now. I'll just fry that for about 1/2 minute as well. Okay. And then I'm going to add the tomatoes. And I'm going to add a little splash of water from the kettle that I boiled earlier. Just put that down. Okay, I'm going to turn my heat up now to medium. And I'm going to add a little bit more water. And I'm going to let that fry for about 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit more water, boiling water from the kettle, and I'm going to cover and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes until the tomatoes start to soften and the skin starts to peel away from the tomato. Okay, so I've just removed the lid, and you can see that the tomato is easily mashed now. It's turned really nice and soft. So I'm going to just take my spoon and peel away the tomato skin. I remove these because I don't like them floating around my rice or my curries. So if you don't mind them, you can keep them on, but I just like to take mine off. So just remove all of the tomato skin. Okay, so you can see here the tomatoes have all mashed, the onions have mashed down, and we've got a nice masala here. So, and you can see the oil has started to separate as well from the masala. So now I'm going to add in the chicken. And on a high heat, I'm going to cook the chicken in this masala and brown the meat. So if you feel like it's starting to stick to the pot, you can add water, but make sure it's hot water from the kettle. So I'm just going to let that cook now until the chicken is nice and browned and cooked about halfway. So you can see that the chicken has changed colour, and it's been cooking for about 6 or 7 minutes, and you can see that the oil is starting to separate as well. So I'm going to add in my pilau mix, rice mix. I'm going to add that in. Give it a mix. And I'm going to carry on cooking that for another 4 or 5 minutes. So you can see that the colour's looking lovely. And it smells gorgeous. So carry on cooking that on a high flame, medium to high flame, for another 4 or 5 minutes. So just make sure you mix it while it's cooking, just to stop it from sticking. If you think it's going to stick, just add some hot water from your kettle. I'm now going to add in the chicken cubes that I've crumbled. So when you taste this, it will taste quite salty, but that's absolutely fine because the rice is going to soak up all that salt, so you have to put in extra salt for the rice. So if you taste it and think, oh my goodness, it's really salty, it's absolutely fine, don't worry. It will be fine at the end when you open that lid and you have some delicious pilau. So I'm just going to carry on cooking for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so while the chicken is cooking, I've turned the flame down to low. So while that's cooking, I'm going to show you the rice step next. So this is the rice that I soaked earlier. So it's been soaking for about half an hour now, with a teaspoon of rice in it. So the next step of the rice is really important as well. So you need to make sure that you wash and rinse your rice about 3 or 4 times, and this makes sure that all of the starch is removed, or as much starch as you can remove. That's the whole point of this process. So I'm just going to drain the water. And then I'm going to rinse it again with cold water. Just wash it, and then again drain. So the more times you do this step, you will notice that the water has started to clear. So now this chicken is ready. So you can see that the oil is all separated, it's all come to the sides, and the chicken is now fully cooked and it's browned really nicely. So now the next step is to add in the water to make the stock. So using the same mug that you used to measure your rice, you need to measure out the water. So I've used 2 mugs of rice, so I'm going to be using just over 3 mugs of hot boiling water. So I'm just going to pour my water into my mug and turn the flame to high. And I'm just going to pour in the water. So that's 1, 2, 3, and just a little bit more. So about 3 1/4 cups I've got. Okay, so I'm going to bring this to the boil, and then I'm going to add the rice. So you just got to wait for this to come to the boil. Okay, so this has come to a boil now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the rice and just gently stir it in. You don't want to move it too vigorously because it will break the rice. So the water is covering the chicken and the rice. So at this point you can taste the salt. If you feel like it's not really salty, you can add a little bit more, because remember the rice is going to soak all that the salt in, so you want it to taste right. So you can add more salt in at this point if you want. So just a little quick tip while that's bubbling away. Over here I've got my dava on the cooker on a high flame, and I'm doing that to preheat my dava. And what I'll do is when I cook my rice on dum, so when it cooks in the steam, I will put the pot onto the dava. And the reason for that is because if you cook the rice on dum straight on the hob, what happens is the rice burns at the bottom. So this is a good way to stop it from sticking and burning at the bottom, and that way you can hopefully eat all of the rice and not have any burnt bits at the bottom. Okay, so you can see here that the rice has soaked up all of that water. So this is now ready to put onto dum. So the dum is the next process to the pilau. Dum means steam. So what I've done over here is I've taken a tea towel and I've washed it and I've rinsed it, and I've covered my cooking pot lid with the wet tea towel. The point of this process is that it helps create steam when you cook it on dum on the cooker. If you can't do this, then you can just get some foil and cover your lid in that. Okay, so I've just put my cooking pot onto my dava, which I've preheated. I'm going to cover it with the lid, with the wet tea towel, and I'm going to place something heavy on top to stop the steam from escaping. So I'm going to turn the heat down to low, and I'm going to let this cook on dum for about 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, so I've just removed the lid, and using a flat spoon I'm just going to gently from the edges fluff up the rice, and that is perfect chicken pilau. It smells absolutely amazing. So just gently fluff it up. You don't want to break the rice. And I'm just going to quickly show you the bottom of the pan. So if you look, there's no burnt bits. So that's why I put it on the dava. And there we have it. Delicious chicken pilau.